Morning, guys. I hope you're fantastic and amazing. Welcome to my world, Young&InConversation. Igama lami uNkosentlo Nxumalo, sibonga uzwide umkhajo thina sikhajo ngezinde nangemfushane. It's a very cold morning, but not that cold. I'm just exaggerating. It's not that cold, guys. Today I just wanted to speak about men's health, since it's Men's Health Month. It's a topic that has been given rather a lot of attention in nowadays, and we should give it much attention, because men's health is the biggest thing. A lot of men are committing suicide nowadays. They're killing themselves. Why is that? It's very simple and plain. It's plain simple, right? Men don't have a lot of people to talk to. We don't open up that much. We're not that vulnerable even with our partners, with our family, with our friends, because that's how we've been programmed to think. Uguti, emotion is a sign of weakness. But how can emotion be a sign of weakness if you're just expressing yourself, you're just being vulnerable? Being vulnerable is not a weakness. That's a strength. I think men should move away from this mentality. Yoguti, when you're being vulnerable, you are weak. You are showing a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of weakness. I would argue that point. It's just not a sign of weakness. But because we've been programmed ever since we were young, a boy shouldn't cry. Even in our cultures, right? We're expected to be strong. It's time for us to have a paradigm shift and change how we think as men. And decide and say, we're going to be vulnerable. We're going to be open. We're going to express ourselves. You understand? Just throw away this bullshit, this programming bullshit we're taught ever since we were young. We need to be open, guys. Let's go to therapists. Let's go to psychologists. Let's talk. Right? And this thing, Yoguti, women are more emotional than men, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. I don't believe that statement. Because anger, for example, anger is an emotion. And most men tend to be angry most of the time. People have died in history. People have died because men were angry. Men kill each other every day because of anger. They kill each other. They cannot manage their anger. At least women talk about it. At least women are more open about it. Right? Are more open about their emotions. So they're able to manage their emotions in that sense. But when it comes to men, they're not able to open up, to be vulnerable about their emotions, about how they feel. So they bottle up all this anger, which is so much emotional, because anger is an emotion also. So this nonsense, it's nonsensical to say that women are more emotional than men. That doesn't make sense at all. In all angles, it doesn't make sense. Right? Because men are killing each other every time. That's an emotion. Right? So let's leave this thing in which men cannot control themselves, or rather men are not emotional as women. It doesn't make sense. Right? Or women are more emotional than men. It doesn't make sense, rather. I just got disturbed, guys. I just got disturbed. Couldn't lead, so I got disturbed. It doesn't make sense to say that women are more emotional than men. We should learn from women, right? We should learn from them. They talk about their emotion. They always have someone to talk to, because they are open to vulnerability. But when it comes to us men, we're not open to vulnerability. We're afraid to be vulnerable. And that's a sign of weakness. Our parents have taught us to be weak, or the society has programmed us to be weak as men. So I want you to think about that. I just want you to think about that. We should always think about our mental health. Always strive to improve our mental health. Whether It might be the way we eat, or exercising, going to therapy, going to a psychologist, because it's important for us to be able to manage our emotions as men. It's very important. So let's stop with this notion that men don't cry. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. You need to have a paradigm shift. It's our responsibility. Our mental health is our responsibility as men. It's our responsibility as men. Let's stop complaining as men. No, women are stressing us. Society is putting so much pressure on us. Let's take responsibility, because society will always be society. The societal norms will always be there. Let's change ourselves. Let's change our mindset. Let's stop complaining. Let's stop blaming other people, right? Because a man who blames everyone is far from realizing his journey, right? And a man who blames himself is already close to finding his path. But a man who blames no one is already there, is already walking in the right path. So let's stop with this bullshit of blaming and blaming everyone about our mental health like it's not our responsibility. It's our responsibility. Our mental health is our responsibility. So let's get that straight, right? So, guys, please, man, let's focus on our mental health, and let's be vulnerable as men. Let's talk with our partners, especially because you find that men don't even talk to their partners, even when they are emotionally hurt, or they are feeling a lot of emotion within them, right? And we end up building another emotional expression, which is called anger, when we bottle up everything and not talk about it. And we're doing a very bad job at in controlling anger. We're doing a very bad job, because a lot of men cannot control their anger. Hence, a lot of people die. Kumi bamu everywhere because men are angry. They just failed to control their emotions at that moment. So, hence we having these platforms just to tell men that you should be vulnerable. You should cry. Crying is not a sign of weakness. Crying is not only for women. Crying is for human beings. Hence, you have lacrimal glands that release tears. If I'm not mistaken, they're called lacrimal glands. Let me just call them glands because I don't want to make any mistakes. Glands. Hence, we have glands that release tears because they're there for us to cry when we feel emotion. Because if we were not meant to cry as men, we wouldn't have tears. So this thing with men don't cry doesn't make sense, because we wouldn't have tears. So stop with that bullshit, man. Stop with that bullshit. Let's cry. Let's be vulnerable. Right? Let's control our emotions. Let's talk to our partners. Let's talk to anyone you trust. Just talk. So guys, I wanted to say my piece today. That's what I wanted to say. I didn't want to be long. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next episode.